Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know, from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars, topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Garcia coming to you live from Culver City, California, where we've got gloomy. It's some nice weather, you know. I like playing golf in this weather. It's gloomy. It's not too hot. It's actually a little cold at night, believe it or not. And cold for me is a little different than probably a lot of you guys that listen to me on the East Coast or Midwest, wherever you listen to me from. But cold in California is probably like 50 degrees. That's when we bring out our North Faces, no shorts. We got to wear pants, you know. But it's funny how all that stuff goes about. Like, there's some places where it gets 50 and people start wearing sandals and shorts because they've had negatives or single-digit degrees. And here, that's cold for us here in California. Welcome back to the show. We've got so much to get to on the show. Eventful couple days of basketball. Since I talked to you guys, Kevin Durant shows up and kind of shows out. I want to talk about the Phoenix Suns a little bit. Steph Curry, he might hit 100 threes in he's 15 away this month, which is ridiculous with 2 games to go. And I think he could get it. 15 threes for him is in the reach, right? The Cavaliers, Kevin Love had a weird play happen the other day. You guys, I'm ahead of schedule with a lot of stuff. I hate to brag. I hate to toot my own horn. But remember when I told you guys that the Warriors and that the Washington Wizards were 2 scary teams that you've got to look out for. LeBron is ahead of schedule, but because I think he's got to come back a little bit faster now that the Lakers are kind of struggling, I tell you. They won last night against the Magic, but that's not saying much. That's not a very good basketball team. But let's get into the Phoenix Suns. I want to get into the Phoenix Suns a little bit because I talked about them before, right? I said anytime Chris Paul comes to a team, you feel like the weight is lifted off your shoulders almost, right? You feel like you could do you could do anything, but you could do a lot. You kind of play a little bit freer without Chris Paul. With Chris Paul, I'm sorry. Last night he had a clutch shot. It was kind of a little bit of a circus shot with against the Knicks to break their streak, right? It's crazy. Chris Paul. And I've talked about this a lot on my show. You know, I talk about Chris Paul a lot. I don't want to sound like Charles Barkley. I'm watching the shot here. Dribbles left, dribbles right. Kind of a circus shot. Threw it off his waist over Julius Randle. Julius Randle's playing great defense. Nothing much more he could do. Tough shot, you know. And did he hit 2? He did. Wow, he hit a 2-pointer from the free throw line and then hit a 3. It called game. Wow, I didn't see that one. Put the Suns up by 8. Wow, I didn't see that one. I just saw the first one. Sent New York packing. But how good can the Suns be, right? I think they could make... So, I think they're better. Personally, I think they're better than the Jazz. And I think the reason they're better than the Jazz is because of Chris Paul. Believe it or not. And Chris Paul is, you know, anywhere he wins... He goes and wins, right? Think about it. Charlotte, they won, right? Obviously, he hasn't won a championship yet, Charlotte. Then he goes, where did he go after that? He should have gone to the Lakers. He ends up going to the Clippers. There was a little bit of drama there. I think they underperformed personally. And then he goes to the Rockets, you know. The Rockets were a mess. I don't know if you could put it all on him. And then he goes to Thunder, they thought they were tanking. They exceed expectations. Then he gets traded to the Suns, and all of a sudden, we're talking about the Suns making noise. And I always talk about this. He's one of these guys that takes pressure off guys, and a lot of people need these guys, right? It's like Devin Booker. I've said about, you've heard me on the show talk about it before. Like, he takes pressure off guys. So Devin Booker in the past kind of thought he had to do everything for the Phoenix Suns, right? And we kind of thought that, like, Devin Booker has to take that next step in his career to be that guy, right? Like, he needs to do this, do that. Well, the Suns go out and get Chris Paul, and he kind of fills that void, right? He takes pressure off guys. He's one of these guys that you need, like Rajon Rondo. I made this example already for the Clippers, right? Like you almost feel like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George need that extra gear, right? Like, do they need that extra gear, or can they just go get a guy like Rajon Rondo to do that for them, right? And it looks like that's what the answer was, right? You just go get a guy like that, plug him in, and all of a sudden they look like a whole different team. Same situation with the Phoenix Suns. 43-18. A game back out of first place. No one saw this coming. Like, they're balling. And I think they should be taken a little bit more serious than a lot of these other teams. Like, I'm more scared of... The thing about it is, am I scared of Chris Paul and Devin Booker? Maybe, right? But not like... Like, are they enough? Do they have enough firepower to win a championship? My answer is no. But they're a team that could go in the playoffs and make noise, right? They could go and make noise. Let's see. They're 10th in. Let's see all their rankings. I didn't want to see that. Defensively, I think they're one of the better teams. I want to say. Let me see their stats. But they're just the ultimate difference makers, right? Devin Booker leads them in points with 25.5. Aiden's a monster down low. Chris Paul has 8.5 assists. Steals wise, can they be a juggernaut? You see, I want to say yes. Like, I want to say, but I just don't think they really. There's one of those teams that, like, they're having a great year, but they just do they scare me against the Clippers? No, they don't scare me against the Clippers, really, right? I think the Clippers are better. Jay Crowder, great teammate, great player, been there, done that, great veteran. I love guys like that. I think you need guys like that. Torrey Craig, I think, is a very underrated guy who I think could do a job, right? Mikal Bridges is playing great basketball. I think he's playing really well for them. And then Devin Booker, obviously we know what Devin Booker brings to the table. Cam Johnson, could step out, spread the floor, shoot threes. Looks like Dario Saric is getting some good run. He's playing good for them, 9 points. Cameron Payne, too. A guy that's bounced around the league. He's one of these guys that's kind of figured out his niche. So, like, when you play in the NBA, I forget who it was that said this. You kind of have to find... So everybody in the NBA could score, right? Everybody in the NBA could do a certain thing, right? So you've got to find that thing that works for you, right? How do you have longevity in the league? You find that niche, right? You find you're a role guy that can score. You're a role guy that can bring energy. It was Alex Caruso. I'm sorry. So Alex Caruso has a great story where he was with the Thunder, and Sam Presti came in, and he was like, hey... It was open forum. Ask me whatever you want. Like, what you can ask me whatever you want. So Alex Caruso goes and asks Sam Presti, like, "Hey, what do you guys look for in G League?" This is when Alex Caruso was in the G League, right? Like, what do you guys look for in guys when you're looking for guys for to maybe crack a roster, crack something? He was like, "You got to be great at one thing, right? Whether it's loose balls, energy off the bench, scoring off the bench, right?" Making a hockey assist, right? Being a veteran presence in the locker room, right? Finding that niche, right? And I think Cameron Payne has finally found that. He's bounced around the league. He's a good teammate. You see him dancing on the sidelines with guys. He can shoot the 3 ball. Things like that, right? And I'm glad. I love it when guys find their niche like that. I really do. Like Alex Caruso, integral part for the Lakers of winning that championship. No Alex Caruso, the Lakers don't win that championship, right? Gritty guy, plays defense, good at anticipating blocks. Just a good teammate. You need guys like that. That's the guys like Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder obviously a little bit better, because she knocked down the 3-ball. Great veteran leadership. Guys like that, right? Mikal Bridges come a long way. Good basketball player. I think he's a Villanova guy, right? Yeah, Villanova guy. They just know how to play. Coach right. I mean, no pun intended right there. They just good professionals. They know how to play the game of basketball, right? Know how to make that extra pass. Know how to be unselfish, right? Know how to, be a good teammate. And then the ultimate, X factor is Chris Paul, right? So the way I look at a lot of playoff series is I usually like I'll map out the top players on both teams, right? So if you have like the Clippers, right? Let's see who are they projected to play right now. The Phoenix Suns. So the Phoenix Suns. Let's look at the Let's look at the standings. And I like them more than I really do like the Phoenix Suns more than I like the Utah Jazz, to be honest. And that the main reason is Chris Paul. So right now, wow. Phoenix would play if it ended today, right? No, we're not talking playing game. We're not talking anything. The Phoenix Suns would play the Portland Trailblazers. That's a tough series. I would love to see that though. So let's see what that would be, right? So the way I rank them is the best players on both teams. So Portland has Dame, right? CJ. Who's another one of their top players? Norman Powell, all right. Who else do they have? Nurkic, but he's banged up. And then maybe Carmelo, right? So those are maybe their 5 top guys, right? Right, no, more or less, right? Now let's look at the Suns' top 5 players, right? So the Suns' top players, we have roster. So they have Booker, Paul, Aiden, Bridges, and Cameron Johnson. I'm just looking at right now their top players, right? I Bridges, and Johnson. Let's throw Jay Crowder in there. Jay Crowder. So Booker and Dame kind of wash each other out, right? Those are kind of 2 guys. So Dame, Booker, wash out, right? Chris Paul, CJ, I'm going Chris Paul. Norman Powell, DeAndre Ayton, I'm going that's a tough one. I'm going to go Ayton. Bridges, Nurkic, Bridges, he's healthier. Carmelo, Crowder, I'm going Melo. So if you see it there, the Suns have 3 better players, arguably, right? That's just my assumption. I'm just naming their top guys. Like I said, Booker, Dame, wash, right? CJ, Paul, Chris Paul. That would be a hell of a series. And but that's the thing about the West, man. The Suns could end up playing man, I hate that. I don't hate it. I love it. I personally love it as a fan. The Phoenix Suns could end up playing Portland, the Grizzlies, San Antonio, or Golden State because it's a play-in game, right? And I'm scared of anybody that has to play Portland or or the Warriors. I really am. Those 2 teams to me scare me. They have 2 guys that could just take over games, and I've talked about this. They just take over games. I think they're a lethal team. What they will do to you, right? Like they did to the last night against the. They beat a good Knicks team, right? And their closer, Chris Paul. Best leader in the game. That sounds like Charles Barkley. Takes pressure off guys. Book's going to do his thing. Book could erupt any night for 50, though. Booker's got to scare you. But look at last night. Booker, 33. Chris Paul, 20. Bridges, 21. And then look at their bench. Cameron Johnson, 11. Cameron Payne, 11. Javon Carter, 6. Kaminsky, 6. They didn't even play Jay Crowder or Dario Saric. 2 guys that could fill it up, too. So, look out. Torian Craig, I think, is better than 3 points. He had 3 points last night. He only took 4 shots. But that's a guy that's just, a dirty work guy. Playoff mentality guy. Guy that's going to guard somebody. Right? Defensively, Booker sometimes could be a little lackadaisical. But Chris Paul's a good defender. Aiden's a good defender. Bridges is long. He's good, Torian Craig, good defender. You can throw him on Kawhi. You throw him on LeBron. These guys, you're not going to slow them down. You need guys that can slow them down. You can't stop. You can't stop guys like this completely. But you could slow them down. And Craig is one of those guys that I like to do that. Crowder is a guy I like to do that. Right? Carter, a little pest. He's a pest. He's getting guys. Chris Paul, a little bit older, can still move his feet. I just love what the Phoenix Suns, and give Coach Monty Williams a ton of credit, because people don't remember it. Monty Williams took that job over the Laker job. Now, is that a mistake for him? That's the only time will tell. The Lakers are up 1 championship on him, but he took the Phoenix job over the Laker job, right? He saw this, right? He saw what Booker was made of. Last night, obviously, Julius Randle had a tough night. 6 for 17 from the field, 18 points. Reggie Bullock. No, you see, that's the thing with the Knicks, right? They were playing great basketball. Derrick Rose, 22 off the bench, minus 14. Must have been pretty bad defensively. I didn't watch that game. I should have. Knicks are a good ball club, though. 8 straight. Nothing against them. It's a good basketball team. They just ran into Chris Paul. Chris Paul called game. Tough shot. It's tough to live with those shots because they're all, like I said, it was like from his hip. It almost didn't look like he just kind of flung it up there. So yeah, good ball club. Let's see how the Phoenix Suns have coming up next. So they got the Clippers. Is that tonight? What's today's date? No, they play the Clippers the 28th. Who else we got? So that's a tough game. We'll see what they're made of there. And all this Chris Paul for MVP, no, he's not the MVP, but he's having a good year. Clippers, Utah, tough stretch here. Clippers in Utah, right? Wednesday, and they're on the road. So they have the Clippers on the road at Staples, and then Utah and Salt Lake City. We'll see what they're made of. And then Oklahoma City, they should win that. They should beat Cleveland. They should beat Atlanta. Then they play New York again. They're at home, I'm sorry, against Clippers and Utah. So look out for that one. Those are 2 good games. Playoff previews, maybe. Right? Second round or maybe conference finals. You don't know. Then they play the Lakers, in May. LeBron should be back. We'll see. Golden State, Portland, they end the year pretty tough, though. Lakers, Warriors, Portland, San Antonio, and San Antonio. So it's not a fair, they got maybe 1, 2, 3, like for sure wins, right? And then the rest are tough games. So we'll see what they're made of, right? Good ball club, though. I like what they're doing out there. We got so much to get to on this show, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Love had like a brain fart, and I want to talk about that, what that means for leadership, what that means for the Cavs. They're going through a tough situation. It's a tough situation for him. It's a tough situation for the Cavs. Like, he shouldn't be there, but he's there. But, does he play and all that good stuff? I want to get to that. I want to get to the Minnesota, maybe new ownership. And then Bradley Beal clears the air with Russell Westbrook. The negative rumors, we'll see what that was about. I'll get into that. And I want to talk about Russell Westbrook, right? I love, obviously, West Coast kid, so I'm going to defend him. A lot of good stuff to get to on the show, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around, more to come. Thank you.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We just talked about the point god, as they call him, Chris Paul. And now I want to get to another point guard, point god, that sometimes people take a little bit for granted. And sometimes he's misconstrued by the media. Sometimes he's, sometimes he's tough, right? So you guys know who I'm going to talk about. Southern California kid, UCLA kid, Russell Westbrook. So let me talk about my relationship with Russell Westbrook. I don't know the guy or anything, but he's so misunderstood. And for a while there, so Russell Westbrook was one of my favorite players coming out. I always said I love my California kids, especially Southern California guys. I always have their backs, right? I'm always a fan just because I'm from here, so I like to follow their careers, and that's just kind of my thing with Southern California guys, right? So Russell Westbrook came out of UCLA being one of my favorite players, loved his energy, loved the way he played, and then he got a little bit, for a while there, I thought he was padding his stats. I thought he was, kind of running and getting triple-doubles, stealing rebounds, not a very good teammate sometimes. But, we sit there and we critique these guys when all of a sudden Russell Westbrook is probably the most competitive dude this NBA has seen. So in my time, I saw when I was a kid when Jordan was around, right? Obviously, he was very competitive. We all know that. LeBron's very competitive. Kobe's very competitive. But, Russell Westbrook deserves to be in that, breath. Competitive-wise, there is not a guy that doesn't want to, he wants to beat you, but then he wants to step on your throat, and then he wants to, curb stomp you, and then he wants to finish you. He's and I love that. The more and more, I see Russ and stuff like that. I love that. The competitiveness, right? The juice. And sometimes that's misconstrued in the wrong way, right? Sometimes it comes off a little bit cocky. Like last year, it did come off cocky last year with the Rockets, and he does have his shooting woes. He is a big personality guy. He does take a lot of heat. But everyone who talks about Westbrook talks about him at being a great human, being a great competitor, being a great teammate, right? Everyone always no one really has anything negative to say about Westbrook, they're his teammates, right? I don't think obviously, however that ended with Kevin Durant and him, right? Whatever that means. There were just two alpha males. And I don't think, obviously, Kevin Durant's obviously the better player. I'm not gonna argue that one. But Westbrook, to his competitiveness, thought he was a better player, right? So that was something. But a guy so everyone says, oh, he's a stat pattern, he gets all these triple doubles. If that was so easy, everybody would be doing it, right? Think about it. He's recorded 12 triple-doubles in the last 15 games. Double-digit rebounds, double-digit points, and double-digit assists. You got to put your teammates in good position to succeed, right? Like, they've got to... Not only are you, like, banking on your guys to make shots, but you got to make shots. You got to put them in good positions. You got to get the rebound. And obviously, he's always been a good rebounder. He starts off fast breaks. We've kind of already known, like, that's kind of... We've known that about him, right? That's, like, his game. Like, he doesn't mind going in there and, like, banging and getting rebounds and then running out in transition and running, right? But the assist-wise, this isn't a very good Washington Wizards team. Like, not a very good team. Who do we have here? Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, obviously those two. Thomas Bryant's the third leading scorer. Then Hachimura hasn't really come into his own yet. Bertans, it's kind of been hit or miss this year. Daniel Gafford, Robin Lopez, Neto, Len. Like, these aren't sure, like, these guys aren't going to hit all their shots. Like, he's playing with, like, I don't want to call them scrubs because they're the top 400 players in the world, but certainly not the best they're not the cream of the crop, let's just say. Nicest way possible, right? And obviously sometimes Bradley Beal came on the jump today and he said he loves his teammates, all his teammates. He's all about his teammates. He's all about the team. He's all about winning. And maybe that's kind of transformed in the last couple of years, right? Maybe Russell Westbrook has kind of been like, okay, maybe it was a little misconstrued. And he's not a guy that, like, I don't think he really cares. Bradley Beal also said he's in the trenches. He's actually fighting in there. He's grabbing rebounds. He's pushing the ball. He makes plays for his guys. He wants everybody to get better. Right? Like, I think maybe he's almost like taking I don't know if he's taking a step back and kind of been like a better teammate, right? But I think his competitiveness, like, drives guys to be better. I really do. I think so. Like, if you see a guy playing that hard, like my dad always says, I watch a lot. You guys know I watch a lot of basketball with my dad, and we always talk about it. And he's like, dude, this guy, like, wants to kill you. There's not a guy that plays harder. There just isn't. You can't, like, if you tell me, like, who is another guy that might play harder than Russell Westbrook, like, just like energy-wise and heart-wise, I don't know if there's anybody that really matches him in the NBA. Like just like the grittiness, right? And look at I want to see his career stats. So his career stats are 23 points, 8.5 assists, and 7 rebounds. In Oklahoma City, 11 years, 23 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. This year, 21, 11, and 11. Those are his stats this year. 21, 11, and 11. Rebounds and assists, obviously. How many years has he averaged a triple-double? Let's see. 1, 2. So this would be his third year. No, fourth year. Wow. So, like, that is so, like, even in a video game, that's hard. So 3 years he's averaged a triple-double. This year being the third. I think we take the guy for granted. 11th season out of UCLA. 32 years old. And I'm not sure when that contract is up. But he's one of these guys that's kind of like, I have him in the same conversation as Chris Paul. Maybe, Chris Paul's more of like a point guard. I can't even say that. Like, I think they're in the same conversation as, like, player-wise. But don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. I want to look that up. Russell Westbrook. He's got a massive contract. No one. And honestly, and a guy that does more for the community than Russell Westbrook. Not many guys do more for the city of, Los Angeles more than Russell Westbrook does. Always hosting things, the Why Not Foundation, always doing good in the community. Obviously him and, Paul George that was a team to beat. No. So he is, so he's a free agent after unrestricted free agent after this year. So he could pick. So yeah, never mind. 2021, yeah, he just started that contract. That's a massive contract. So 2021, yeah, 41, and then the year after that he's owed $44 million. And the year after that he's owed $47 million. Wow, that's a lot of money. So yeah, his contract just hit. He signed a 5-year, $206 million contract. He's made some lettuce, man. He has made some lettuce. Wow. He has made some lettuce, I tell you. He's made a lot of money. Good for him. Set up, let's see his career. If you guys haven't seen this, go on Spot Track, and they tell you everything about everybody. I spend hours on this site. Like hours just looking at guys' contracts and stuff like that. So if you could get I don't see any team trading for him. Because this contract is just, unless somebody pays it, I don't think anybody will, but he's getting paid $40 million this year, and then the next year after that, $44 million, and then $47. That's a lot of lettuce. Wow. I didn't know he's getting paid that much money. Good for him, though, right? Yeah, it's a lot of money. So, I never mind. I was going to say maybe he gets traded, but I don't know if anybody's going to be able to take on that contract. I was going to say look out for the Lakers maybe because, they don't know I don't know what's going to happen with Schroeder this summer. The Lakers offered him a contract. He said no. I think he'll get more money on the open market. But yeah, I just want Westbrook. I want to get back onto Westbrook. I think he's so misconstrued. I think he's a great player, plays hard, and just I think now in his career he wants to win. I don't know if that's going to be able to happen with that contract. Like I said earlier, I don't know who's going to be able to take that on. It just takes a big hit on the on franchises. It does. But the Wizards have a good chance. I've said this before. You don't want to play them. They're playing hot. Obviously, they're 27-34. That's rough. They had one. Let me see. Oh wow, I see a lot of W's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They had won 8 straight till they lost to San Antonio last night in overtime. And they've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They've won 10 out of the last 12. Obviously led by Beal and Westbrook. Play the Lakers on Wednesday. That should be a good game in Washington. I don't know if LeBron will be back. Look out for that. Just throwing that out there because he may be back. I don't know. But he's hinting on social media that he could be back. I'd love to have him back. The Lakers need him back. I'll talk about that here in a second. Cleveland, obviously, that they'll win that game. Dallas, it should be a good game. Indiana, it's a good game. So their schedule's not as favorable. They play Milwaukee, another tough team. Toronto, they should beat. Indiana's tough. Atlanta's tough. So their schedule's right there. But they could, with Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, they could win on any night. Those two guys could beat anybody on any given night. I'm a firm believer in that. Look out for them. And now I want to talk a little bit about Kevin Love. So Kevin Love had a funny situation last night. He didn't get 2 calls go his way, so he kind of just tossed the ball. And, he didn't get his call, so he kind of threw a little temper tantrum. That's a tough situation for Kevin Love. Guy making a lot of money, playing on a bad team. He's obviously won a championship. But, think about, being a competitor, and you're obviously going to be part of this rebuild. But what does it show to your guys that, you're throwing temper tantrums like this and for not getting the ball or whatnot, right? Come on, man. Kevin Love, obviously a good guy. I like his game, but we've got to be better, right? He apologized to the team. He talked to Bernie Bickerstaff, but guys are looking up to you, right? Like, we've got to be better, K-Love. I like Kevin Love. And I just want to talk about his situation. Another Southern California kid, UCLA kid, getting paid a lot of money. He's another guy, man. Woo! $31 million next year, and then $28 million the following year, and then he's a free agent. So, unless somebody wants to trade for that contract, he's been banged up a little bit. I don't know if he could help anybody, really. He's going to be 32-year-old Kevin Love. I don't know how much he helps anybody at this point in his career, but owed a lot of money. And he's not, he's a little bit like, I don't know if he's a lot like Westbrook, because I think Westbrook's a better situation just because he adds so much, but obviously he's owed, $14 more million than him. Actually, both teammates at UCLA, which is cool always cool. But Kevin Love, tough situation for a guy like that. Tough situation. This year, what has he done this year? 11 points, 2 assists, 6 rebounds, one of the best rebounders. But he's one of these guys that's kind of been lost in the sauce, right? Obviously, he was great when LeBron was there, and obviously Kyrie, and he's the last man standing there. But yeah, tough situation for K-Love, man. I don't know if that situation is going to get any better for him, just because, he's got almost 50 million reasons why he should continue to play, and I think he will. I don't see anybody that leaves $50 million on the board, but he's got a tough situation in Cleveland, and I don't see Cleveland turning around anytime soon. I don't think there's anybody that could turn that around, honestly, if we're talking serious. And then I want to talk a little about Steph. So Steph's 15 3-pointers away from breaking the 100 3-pointers in a month. That's insane, guys. So what do they play in a month? Maybe they play 15 games, right? And he's going to break that. Like, unbelievable. They play Luka tonight. That's going to be a great game. Maybe a little preview of playoffs. Steph had 57 and 11 threes in the last game, and Luka had 42 and 11 assists in the last matchup in February. So look out for that one. 6:30 tonight. 6:30 West Coast time, 9:30 East Coast time. And the fact that Steph could end up making 100 threes, like, I don't think people understand how ridiculous that is. And a lot of people that hear me are like, hey, like, Eddie, you're back on Steph. Like, what's up with that? I told you guys how I felt about Steph. Steph hurt me. Steph took championships away from my favorite player, and I thought, they got the best player, so obviously that's a bummer, right? If anybody, that would hurt anybody's feelings. He's been great, but 100 threes in a month, that's just out of his mind. Like, if he does that, and so people are talking MVP, can he win the MVP? I think he could. I don't know how likely it is for him to win it. Let's see the stats for Steph this month. Steph Curry. Do they show? I don't know if they show, like, oh, here it is. Recent games. So let's just look at the month of April. So they've played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So like I said, they'll play 15 games. So he's made 7 plus 4. Yeah. That's insane. The amount of 3-pointers he's made. That's absolutely bonkers. So he's made 7 threes and then 4 threes, 2 threes, 2 for 14. I mean, he's chucking them up, though. 7 for 14 the first night. Or let's look at the first month. In April, 9 for 19. Oh, no. 5 for 11. Then 3 for 12. 5 for 10. 5 for 13. 8 for 15. 10 for 18. 11 for 16. 4 for 13. 11 for 19. 10 for 17. 2 for 14. 4 for 9, and then 7 for 14. So, there's nights where he's had 14%, and then he's also had 68%. So, and it looks like the games that he struggles from threes, that the games they lose. So they've lost to Atlanta, Miami. He shot terribly. He's not bad night, but they lost that night. They beat Cleveland, obviously. He shot 4 for 13 from 3. Lost to Boston, shot 57%. That's just because he has no one on his team. I feel, when Clay comes back, obviously, they'll make some noise, but until then, Draymond just doesn't cut it. Wiseman is obviously hurt for the season, and, when you're running with Bazemore, Wiggins, and a couple of these guys, you have to carry the burden. You have to make every shot, basically, or he's got to play perfect to give them a chance, but that's why I think they're scary. He could take a game over. He could go win a game. He could do all that. So we got coming up. We've got the Lakers. I want to talk about the Lakers here in a second. I want to talk about Kevin Durant's return. I talk about them a lot, but they're the two best teams in the league, so that it's worthy of talking a lot about. And then we've got power rankings coming up. Maybe some MVP talk. Some guys committed to the college basketball, and a coach leaves. Why? More to come on the show.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
So let's get into it. We've got so much. We got a loaded show today. We've talked about so much. We talked about Russell Westbrook. We talked about Chris Paul, the point guards, as we like to call him. Now I want to talk a little bit about the Lakers. We always talk about the Lakers on the show, right? You feel like you're always talking about the Lakers. And that's for the, I like to talk about good teams. So I'm very much a guy that likes to talk about contenders, real-time contenders, teams that are going to make some noise. And the Lakers just happen to be my team. But so I was hearing, like, whose comeback is more important, right? Like, is it James Harden's or is it LeBron James? Like, what happens when LeBron comes back? Dennis Schroeder, like, what how are the team going to play? Harrell, Andre Drummond, how is that all going to pan out, right? Like, Anthony Davis is just coming back. He finally looked a little bit, he's off minutes restriction. And then I want to talk about Kevin Durant, too, right? So Kevin Durant didn't play, and now he's back, right? But let's get into LeBron first. So LeBron has been hinting, he posted something on his Instagram the other night where he was running back and forth, right? He was just doing all this stuff, maybe trying to get the media a little rattled up, maybe to see when he's going to come back. And Woj actually just tweeted a couple minutes ago that he might be back as early as this week. And looking at the schedule, they play the Wizards tomorrow. And every game for the Lakers now is must win. Just because you don't want to play that playing game. You really don't. So this week they've got, it's a favorable schedule. It's favorable. They play the Wizards on the road in Washington, and then they play Sacramento on Friday, which maybe he might be back for that, and then Toronto, and then Denver, and then the Clippers, and then Portland, and then Phoenix. That's a tough slate. That's a tough slate. So maybe you come back maybe against Sacramento on Friday, kind of get your feet wet, right? Maybe Toronto, get your feet wet a little bit more. And then you play Denver, and that's that's a big game. game for contention in the Clippers, right? Those are, two big games coming up. So how have the Lakers played without LeBron? My answer, the nicest way possible, is absolutely terrible, right? They almost blew a 16-point lead yesterday against the Magic. The night before that, they played Dallas. They blew a 17-point lead. And I think against the day before that, they blew another lead against Dallas that had like 15-point lead, right? So what do you make of this? What happens, right? First game against Dallas, Anthony Davis came in, played 12 minutes. And I want to touch on this real quick. So Steve Nash obviously has a soccer background. I'll talk about Kevin Durant here in a little bit. But Steve Nash did it the best way. So Kevin Durant was on a minute restriction, right? And so he played Kevin Durant later in the game, so he could play more meaningful minutes than in the earlier game, right? He got that from soccer. Sometimes in soccer, when guys are coming back from injury, they usually sub them late in the game, more meaningful minutes, right? Maybe the game's on the line. And that's what he did, right? Kevin Durant just came off the bench. He asked him, hey, do you want to play off the bench? Just come off the bench, more favorable minutes, right? Kevin Durant just came back. He killed it. And I'll talk about Kevin Durant here in a second. But my point in that is Vogel played Anthony Davis, and I think we'll start to see this a little bit more here in the NBA. Maybe players play like later in the game just because they're more meaningful minutes, right? Later in the game, obviously. But Anthony Davis came back, didn't look sharp. Maybe he said he wasn't worried about making turns, wasn't worried about making cuts. He wasn't worried about it, right? But in the back of your mind, I think it's still there. And what LeBron has done to the Lakers is you kind of you spoil your teammates, right? You get all these great passes in certain positions. You sets you up for good looks on pick and rolls. He puts you in good positions to succeed, right? That's kind of what he does. That's kind of his game, right? And he's now missed more games than he missed through that hip flexor, remember? Last year or 2 years ago, that he did it against the Warriors on Christmas Day. He's now missed more games. So he's missed 1, 2, 3. So he got hurt against Atlanta. So let's see how many games he's missed. So he got hurt against Atlanta. Where is that? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So let's just say he's going to miss tomorrow night. So 20 games. All right? So they've lost. They lost the game that he was out in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then they won. 1, 2. And then another loss, and then a win. I'm just kind of doing this on the fly to try to get you guys a number. Lost, win, loss, win, lost, win, lost, win. 3 losses in a row. 1, 2, 3. And then a win. So they've won 8 games and they've lost 12. What did I say about the Lakers? They're just going to have to manage. They're going to have to stay above water. Have they done that? No. They're sinking right now. They need LeBron. Fast. And if you see the Lakers play, I watch the Lakers on I basically watch every Laker game. Record every Laker game, go back and watch it, right? Call me I'm a Laker fan. They look so stagnant on offense. They just look like, one-on-one offense, don't move the ball, guys get lazy, they look, they stare, no one cuts, then they get late in the shot clock and they have to hoist threes up. Bad shots. No movement of the basketball. No one wants to run in transition. And trust me, they're getting into good spurts. Kyle Kuzma's come into his own. Kyle Kuzma has grown a lot. I feel like if there's anybody that's going to get anything out of this stretch, it's going to be Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma to me has showed me a lot in this stretch. he could be that third scorer for them. He could be that third best player for them. Defensively, offensively. I need Kyle Kuzma and Dennis Schroeder to be the two same players when LeBron gets back. If they do that, I guarantee you they'll be champions. If they get that production from Montrezl Harrell is a bonus. Horton Tucker is a bonus. Caldwell Pope is a bonus. McLemore, a bonus. These guys are just bonuses, right? Drummond's gonna be the one that's gonna, like, I told you guys not to look at Drummond's numbers until Anthony Davis and LeBron are back. Don't worry about Drummond. But in all these games that he's been back, he's led the Lakers in rebounds. 12, 11, 10, 12, 8, 19, 12, 11. He's led them in rebounding. Right? And that's with no LeBron. That's with no Anthony Davis. That's when both big men have their focus on Andre Drummond. So now, you have to guard the big guy, right? You have to guard Drummond. Or else around the rim, he's just going to gobble everything up. You have to guard Davis. And you have to guard LeBron James. And now who's the guy back cutting? Kuzma. Horton Tucker. KCP. You can't double team now. As much as you want to double team Anthony Davis or LeBron, you're just going to let Drummond roam around the paint? Good luck. You're going to let Harrell just wander around? Good luck. Right? Morris. Got to hit the open threes. Shooter. Be aggressive. Stay aggressive. LeBron told him earlier, there was an article this week, stay aggressive, man. Let me see if I can find that. I had it pulled up here. LeBron always tells Dennis, the menace, stay aggressive, man. Stay aggressive. Dennis Schroeder said, he's close. I can tell you that much. We're ready. We can't wait to get him to help us win games again and be together at the right time. 11 games and get to work, Dennis the Menace said. They're going to need the Menace to play like that. They're going to need him to be an aggressive point guard. There's not many point guards in the NBA right now that want to see the Menace across from them. There just isn't. He's a pest. Plays hard. He's tough. You know? Like I said, Kuzma, icing on the cake. Morris, icing on the cake. Taylor Horton Tucker, icing on the cake. Harrell, icing on the cake. Like, I love the Ben McLemore pickup. I really did. I think Ben McLemore is a guy that he popped off the other night. What did he have? He led the Lakers in scoring the other night, 20 points. Last night he comes in 9 points right off the bench. Right? He's like a JJ Redick guy. Obviously doesn't have the numbers of JJ Redick in his career, but guy could score. 3-point wise. Lakers haven't had that, like a 3-point threat. They had KCP last year in the bubble who kind of showed flashes of it. KCP to me is one of these guys that KCP is built for this team, right? They do a lot of spot up shooting, play defense, hustle. Alex Caruso, same way. Hustle guys. Montrezl Harrell. They're not guys that Taylor Horton. They're not guys that are like Markieff Morris. They're not guys that are going to go score for you. They're not going to go give you that. Right? They can't carry a team offensively. Dennis could to a point, but he's not going to do that for you every given night, right? He's going to do it, but can you rely on him every night? Probably not. Dennis is a third, fourth option. Anthony Davis has shown to be a second or third option. And he thrives. He's the best second option in the NBA. When you have a guy like LeBron, he'll lead you there. He'll lead you to go get water. It's just what's that saying? You could lead a horse or cow to go drink water, but you can't make him drink. That's LeBron. He'll lead you there. And he'll almost put he'll turn on that water fountain for you. You just got to drink it. And that's what these guys are. These guys are role players. Kuzma, role player. Caldwell Pope, role player. Taylor Horton-Tucker, role player. Trez, role player. And you had those two monsters down there, those three monsters. Lakers got their size back. Last year, why were they so good on defense? They were still good defensively without LeBron or Anthony Davis. They were still good defensively. Why? They're long. They get in passing lanes. Right? They play good team defense. Alex Caruso. Right? And give Frank Vogel a ton of credit. You haven't had your two top defenders, and you're still leading almost the NBA in defense. Give him a lot of credit. Give him a ton of credit. So, good for them. And I think it's going to make the world the difference. Let's see these advanced stats. How do I see these advanced stats? I'm a big advanced stats guy. There we go. Frank Vogel's done a good job. I think he deserves a lot of credit. I don't think he'll obviously like get any, coach of the year votes just because he just won't. Where are these stats? I just had these pulled up. Yeah, I don't know where they're at. I thought I had them. But the Lakers were first defensively last I checked, defensively. So, good for them. Good for them. Rebounding. But that's what I mean. The Lakers are going to be fine. LeBron gets back. You'll have about, let's see, what did I say? How many games did I say they'll have together? Let's say LeBron comes back. Full schedule. Sorry for all my clicking, guys. So let's say LeBron comes back. Washington, right? I think he'll come back up in Sacramento or Toronto. I think one of those two, right? Friday or Sunday. So they have Denver. So let's just say he comes back Friday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 games. 10 games to get your feet under you, get going. 2 weeks. 2 weeks into the playoffs, kind of heading in the right direction. That's kind of what the bubble was. That's what I'm looking at. They played 7 games and they went into the playoffs, right? So that's kind of what it's like. Ramping up for the playoffs. Anthony Davis is the one who I think has to play more so than LeBron, just because he's missed so many more games. LeBron's already played. I don't want to say he's taking a rest, but I think LeBron has honestly taken a rest, believe it or not. I think he could have came back a little bit sooner, but he knows that he's gonna need to make this playoff push for them. So I think he did, personally. Call me crazy, say whatever you want, but I think that's what it really was when we come down to it. I'm a big believer in basketball and like gods, like basketball gods, baseball gods. You can't cheat the game. But I hope that obviously doesn't come back and bite them in the butt. But so now let's get to Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant is the ultimate cheat code. Kevin Durant is second best player in the NBA, and he comes back and he does what he does. Right? So what did he do? He went dumb again. He went crazy. He's just so good. They're playing the Raptors tonight. They should win that game. So Kevin Durant played against the Suns. Was it the Suns that they played? Yeah. So they came back against the Suns. What did he have? I don't even think he played that much. 28 minutes. 33 points. I'm laughing. He's so good. So gifted. That dude, 12 for 21, 2 for 3 from 3. He's a walking bucket, guys. He's the one I don't worry about. He's the one that he can miss 4 more games. But the injuries do scare me with him, obviously. They're still missing James Harden. And obviously they could be... I don't worry about... I've said this before. I don't worry about Kevin Durant. Specimen. Baller. Don't worry about him. So good. Do whatever he wants. He really could. You can't tell me otherwise that he can't do whatever he wants on the basketball floor. You can't tell me he can't. You just can't. Gifted. Defensively. He's another guy that I think just needs to get his legs under him like LeBron. They've got 10 more games left. They've got a favorable schedule too, I think. They've got let's see their schedule. Very favorable schedule, I think. Brooklyn Nets schedule. Let's see. They've got... So they're currently playing against the Toronto Raptors. They should win that. They play in Indiana. They should win that. Portland should be a good game. Milwaukee should be a good game. They play Milwaukee back-to-back. 3 good games. Dallas, good game. Denver, good game. They should beat Chicago. They should beat San Antonio. They should beat Chicago. And they should beat Cleveland. So they've got 5 games that they should worry about. 5 games that they should legit be worried about. Milwaukee, Dallas, and Denver. That's it. And Portland. Indiana's good, but they won't, they'll tickle them. Especially if Durant's in the lineup. Yeah. To Milwaukee will be the 2 tests. The 2 biggest tests, I think, for the rest of the season for them. And we'll see. I don't know when James Harden is back. They haven't given him a date yet. Obviously, they might not play a game together, which does scare me a little bit, just because Kyrie. I don't worry about anybody else but Kyrie. James Harden, kind of know what he's going to give you. You know what Kevin Durant's going to give you. But, these major good teams don't win in their first year, guys. Like, don't be surprised if they get upset in the first round. Don't be. I've said that. Don't be surprised. These major juggernauts don't win in their first year. It's like a thing. Miami didn't win their first year. Lakers didn't win their first year. Warriors. Just look out. Look out. We got power rankings coming up on the show. We're gonna get into some more why. I want to talk about why the most winning coach left Baylor for LSU. We've got so much more to get to in the show, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around. More to come. Eddie Garcia will be right back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Last and final segment you guys have for me today. It was so nice being here with you guys today. I'm actually going to the Dodger game tonight. Very exciting stuff. It's my first event that I've been to since COVID. I've missed, being at arenas, missed being at the ballpark, missed being all this stuff, right? It's going to be fun to see how this stuff all evens out, right? A lot of teams are going to have fans in the stands. Some teams are going to have home court advantage, as you like to say it. It's going to be cool to see, right? It's going to be our first time out there. I'll be masked up. I'll be having a good time though, right? So it'll be fun. I'm excited. It adds an element to the game, right? Fans are fans, right? You love to see it. You love to have fans out there. Like in the NBA. Some fans it's gonna impact some teams might have more fans than other stadiums, right? That'll impact the game, right? The bubble last year, no fans. That impacted the game, right? Fans in stands, you get a little more hyped up. The juices flow a little bit more. More adrenaline, right? Even if they're booing against you, you like it more. If they're yelling for you, you like it. It goes for both teams. hypes you up. Fans, they want to be there. And the more and more we get, closer to this, the more and more we are to being great again. Not to say we're not great, but get to be more open, be more, be the passionate fan. I'm a yeller. I'm a screamer, man. I like being out there. I like to yell for my squad. You're going to hear me. It'd be tough to get a ticket. Staples Center is a tough ticket, man, but I'll be there. I'll be going crazy. I'll be at a Dodger game tonight first time, so I'm excited. Exciting, Excited to smell the grass. Just good times. So let's get back to the so I want to get into power rankings. It's a time that I look forward to every week, There's teams that have fallen out of the top 10. I do the top 10. I'll do the top 15 today, just because we've had some shake-up here. Teams that had bad weeks. Golden State keeps climbing up there at 16. So 15. Got the Memphis Grizzlies last week. They're a 15 for me. Memphis, man, they play tough. They had the human highlight reel in John Morant. Obviously, he's a stud. Can't take that away from him. He plays hard. Man, I love Ja, but, Jaren Jackson's coming back. Yeah, 15. They'll make some noise. Boston Celtics, wow, last week they were 9. This week they're 14. They've fallen hard. You don't, Evan Fournier's finally come back. But, he hasn't played up to Boston. Boston's been weird this year. They're just not very good, I don't think. Tatum's been, bounced. Hasn't been great. Brown is still out. Yeah. Don't be surprised if they lose in the first round this year. They're one of these teams that obviously had so much, but, I just don't think I don't think they're good enough. They play the Thunder this week, Thunder, Charlotte, San Antonio, Portland, all winnable games, but you never know what Celtics team you're getting. Miami Heat coming in at 13. Another team that's been pretty inconsistent. He's averaging 19, 8, and 4 in his last 3 games. I told you guys, Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero aren't sneaking up on teams anymore, and teams are finding ways to stop them. That's bottom line. Last year, they could kind of fly under the radar. Teams weren't worried about them as much, but now, this year, they're in the scouting report. Teams are worried about them. They know what they could bring to the table. They're not sneaky by anybody in Miami, but they're a tough, gritty team. I still like them in the playoffs, especially in the East. So I like them. I like Jimmy Butler a lot. This week they've got Chicago, San Antonio, yes, Cleveland, and Charlotte. All winnable games for them. All winnable games. Portland falls to 12. Last week they were 10th. Blazers lost 5 straight. 8 of the 10. They've slipped. They've slipped in that playing game. No one wants to play in that game. Now 2 games behind the Mavs in the loss column. Lillard has been a little. He said, "I'm not playing well enough. I'm on the floor because it gives my team the best chance to win. I've got to be better." Dame's going to be there, though. That's a guy that I don't want to bet against. I never want to bet against Dame. That's one guy. I don't bet against Dame. He's just one of those guys that could give it to you on any given night. Come at you. Yeah. They've got to be better. They've got Indiana, Memphis, Brooklyn, and Boston. You don't want to play against them in the playing game. Atlanta Hawks, 11th. They beat the Bucks on Sunday. The Hawks improved 20-7 under Nate McMillan. Good for them. Interim head coach who looks like he's probably going to get hired. Right? Can they make a push in the playoffs? I don't know. I don't think so. Detroit, Philadelphia, they'll lose to Philly both games, in Chicago. We'll see how they play against Philadelphia. We'll see that. And then I'll give you guys New York Knicks in the top 10. Last week they were 14th. They jump into my top 10. They got Phoenix this week, who they lost to. They got Chicago and Houston. 2 winnable games that they should win. Julius Randle obviously playing an all-star level. Coach Thibodeau, I had a whole segment on them last week. Look out for them. Tom Thibodeau, Coach of the Year, look out for that. Julius Randle, Most Improved Player. They'll make some noise. Coming in at 9, the Dallas Mavericks. Dwight Powell beat the Lakers. They torched the Lakers. The Lakers couldn't stop Dwight Powell. The kid from Sanford, he's been up and down. I think he averaged 4 points this year. He had 25 against the Lakers. I don't know. I was watching this game and I was like, who is this guy? This guy rejuvenated? What's up with this guy? Like, who is this guy? Right? Dwight Powell, good for him. I always like guys, that make noise. Good for him. I like that. They beat my Lakers, unfortunately, but, now Dallas Mavericks were talking smack. They don't want to play in that play-in game, so they play good. Right? They're now in the playoffs. They just have to hold their ground, 33-26. They play Sacramento this week. Golden State, tough game. Detroit, the winnable game. Washington, tough game. And then they play Sacramento Kings in a game that they should win. Dwight Powell keeps playing like this. Their playoff couldn't. No, I'm just kidding. They will be in the playoffs, but Porzingis is still hurt. We'll see what happens with them. The Los Angeles Lakers fall a spot. Last week they're at 7. This week they're at 8. Minutes restrictions off Anthony Davis. They beat Orlando this week. They have Washington, a tough one tomorrow. Sacramento, and then Toronto. 2 winnable games, I think. Washington will be a trap game. Last game from a road trip. Can they finish a road trip strong? Anthony Davis is finally back. Playing, going to play no minutes restriction. So, what can they do? They hold a game and a half lead over the Dallas Mavericks. For 5th position. LeBron may be back this week. Will he be back against Washington? Will he be back against Sacramento? Who knows? Lakers need him, though. Holding in at number 7, the Denver Nuggets. Will Barton. Pretty significant injury. Man, that's tough. This comes, obviously, after they lose Jamal Murray. Denver has won 5 of the 6 games. Michael Porter Jr. playing a lot better. But PJ Dozier has to play at a high level, at a high clip. Denver Nuggets need everything. They've been hit with the injury bug this year, unfortunately for them. I like that young team. They made a lot of noise, obviously, in the bubble. They're going to have to be, a lot of guys are going to have to step up and play big for them. Interesting to see how that plays out for them. Guys are going to have to play big roles to play Memphis, the Pelicans, Toronto, and the Clippers. Not a bad week. So the Joker could cement his job or his position as the MVP this week or in this stretch run here. He's in the driver's seat right now, obviously, with all the injuries. So hopefully they don't fall out. I want them. I like the Joker a lot. Hopefully he could keep it up. Milwaukee Bucks kind of just staying afloat, man. They're the team that I tell you guys. Doesn't matter what they do in the regular season. Matters what they do in the postseason. The Bucks have to be good in the postseason. Giannis has done this before. We know what Giannis could do. Can he do it against the big boys? Can he do it in the playoffs? Obviously, they're flying under the radar. No one's really talking about the Bucks. No one's talking about the Bucks in first place. Giannis has said he doesn't really care about this. They beat Philadelphia twice at home, which clinches a tiebreaker. So we'll see. They'll have a chance to do it against Brooklyn as well. We'll see how they do it. They've got Charlotte this week, Houston, Chicago, and then Brooklyn. Those are all winnable games, but then they go on the road, or they play at home against Brooklyn, which will be a good one to see. I'll watch that one and see how it plays out. Philadelphia 76ers have dropped off a little bit. 5. Wow, they were my favorites. They lost twice. 4 straight losses. Wow. So they're right behind the Nets, right in the race for the top seed. Philadelphia's schedule gets a little bit easier here down the stretch. They got Oklahoma City, who they're playing right now. They should beat Atlanta, then Sacramento, the Spurs, who they should win. I'm not worried about the 76ers. I'm just not. Just a little hiccup here on the late games. I'm not worried about them though. The Clippers 4. No Kawhi Leonard. No Patrick Beverly, no Serge. They missed 17 of their last 20 games. Paul George is back on a vengeance, though. He's playing great basketball. Another guy. I don't care what you do in the regular season, man. I don't care what you do. I just don't. I'm not worried about it. PG's supposedly healthy now. But it doesn't, like, him doing all that, like, okay, good. You should be doing that. Right? I'm not impressed. Got to win a couple, got to win some playoff series. Got to go to the championship. I'm telling you guys, mark my words, you heard it here first. They don't win a championship. Kawhi Leonard is out. Paul George doesn't play good in the playoffs. Paul George is out. That's the kind of guy Kawhi is. No knock against them. Think about it. You hold your end of the bargain. He didn't hold his end of the bargain last year, but I don't know. Coming in at 3, the Phoenix Suns. Had a whole segment on my Phoenix Suns. They obviously beat the Knicks this week. They play the Clippers. Good game. Utah and Oklahoma City. Point guard, they have Chris Paul playing at All-Star, All-NBA clip. Devin Booker. Cam Johnson. They're just playing good basketball. Not worried about them. Phoenix Suns. Are they title contenders? No. They can make some noise? Yes. Brooklyn Nets coming in at 2. Last week they're at 4. Anytime you get Kevin Durant back in your lineup, you're going to be favorites. I don't care who you play against. You have Kevin Durant, you have a chance to win. Guy could jump out of bed and score 30 points. Kevin Durant's not the one I'm worried about, though. Not the one I'm worried about. He doesn't need the ball. James Harden needs the ball. Kyrie needs the ball. Kevin Durant doesn't. They got Toronto, who they should beat. Indiana, who they should beat. Portland, who they should beat. And then Milwaukee. So, Brooklyn Nets down the stretch. Look out. If KD's healthy, look out. Guy's a baller. Utah Jazz back at 1. They got swept by the Timberwolves, obviously. They led by 17 in the first half. Even Donovan Mitchell, missing some games. Joe Ingles, 1 for 9 from the field. Tough. They're a team, you guys know I've talked about the Utah Jazz here. I've talked about them lately. They don't scare me. They just don't. Play Minnesota, they lose to Minnesota. And obviously, everyone's going to lose to these teams. Minnesota's playing hard. Anthony Edwards, right? By the way, Anthony Edwards for Rookie of the Year is dead. That's gone. That campaign is over. I turned it off. I don't even believe it anymore. He's just too inconsistent for me. Them, Sacramento, Phoenix, and then Toronto. All winnable games for them, but, they just don't scare me. They don't. I don't see them as title contenders. We got some games going on so far. We've got Oklahoma City is beating the Boston Celtics, man. Obviously, they're up by 6, but, that's kind of the tale of the Celtics. And they have all their... Wait, no... It looks like Jason Tatum's not playing. Looks like Marcus Smart is in the lineup. Jaylen Brown's in the lineup. 18 points. But, man, Evan Fournier, 2 points. He's got to get going, man. Yeah. So the Thunder are up on the Celtics. Not surprised. It's still early in the game. Portland's up on the Indiana. High-scoring game, 73-62 at half. Milwaukee's up pretty big on the Charlotte, 62-45. That game should be a wrap. And then Toronto is down by 1, or up by 1, to the Brooklyn Nets. Minnesota plays Houston, and then Dallas plays the Golden State Warriors, the game of the night. The game that we all got circled tonight. Should be a good game. Dallas, Golden State. Look out for that one. I'll be at the Dodger game, so I'll have that game recorded. I'll watch it later in the night. Let's see some games from last night. Obviously, the Lakers beat Orlando Magic. Atlanta lost to the Detroit Pistons. Did Trae Young play? He did not. So no Trae Young, they lost. Jeremy Grant, 18 points, led the Detroit. what other significant games? Obviously, I talked about the Suns being the New York Knicks. Cleveland lost to the Toronto Raptors. Let's see games coming up. Tomorrow night, another slate of games. Another game that I look forward to. The Lakers against the Wizards. Will we see LeBron? Westbrook, he's coming out to find blood. Bradley Beal coming out to find blood. Both those guys, Lakers are favorite. But Wizards are a team I don't want to play. I talk about that all the time. Wizards are tough. Russell Westbrook playing amazing right now, averaging basically 22, 11, and 11. Magic play the Cavaliers. That's funny. The lowest ticket price is $8. So if you're in Cleveland, go watch the game. Hawks played against the 76ers. That could be a little playoff preview. I don't know how much of a chance the Hawks have. The Celtics have a back-to-back, obviously, against the Hornets. That's probably why Tatum didn't play, but I expect Tatum to be back in the lineup tomorrow. Bulls play the Knicks. Should be a good game. Julius Randle, Vooch. See how that one ends up. He played the Spurs, and that'll be a gritty matchup. Two tough franchises that like to play tough. Trailblazers against the Grizzlies. That should be a good game. John Morant. Expect, John Morant against Damian Lillard. I like that. Is that one on... What is that on? We won't get that one. Pelicans, Nuggets. Could be a good game. Nuggets obviously have playoff implications. The Nuggets have to do well. Nuggets have to keep winning. Pelicans are tough, though. Zion's going to have something to say about that. Clippers against the Suns. That'll be watching that game. It's going to be a good game Wednesday night. Clippers, Suns. Who's the favorite in this game? We don't have a line for this one yet, but no, obviously I don't think they'll have Kawhi. We'll see how in Phoenix. We'll see how they come out and play. That's going to be a nightcap. That's a game that you should have circled. That's a game that you want to watch. Look out for Devin Booker. Look out for Chris Paul. Look out for Paul George. Obviously, there's a little bit of hate there. I could say hate because they don't like each other. I don't think. I think there's still some bad blood. I don't know if there's anybody left on that team. I don't think so. But Chris Paul, and the Jazz against the Kings of the nightcap. But I want to talk about that Suns Clippers, because that could be a playoff preview. That could be a game that we see here come playoff time, playoff implications. I'm looking forward to that game. I'm really looking forward to that one. Thursday night. What do we have? Any big games that we should circle on our schedule? No good games on Thursday. Friday, what do we have? Lakers, Kings, maybe LeBron's back. Trailblazers, Nets, that should be a good game. Damian against Durant. And then Jazz against the Suns. The Suns, man. The Suns are going to be Friday night. They're going to be a blockbuster this week. I like that. A lot of playoff implications. I'm excited to see that one. And so much good basketball coming up, man. We're coming down the stretch. LeBron's back. KD's coming back. Anthony Davis is back. Playoffs are ready to go. Hope you guys have a great day. Have a great week. Eddie Garcia signing off. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.